Hey, thanks for joining me for this week's Minute with the Word. I'm Brock Henry from the Douglas Hills Church of Christ. William Penn once said this: "True silence is the rest of the mind. It is to the spirit what sleep is to the body, nourishment and refreshment." What's your knee-jerk reaction to that? Most of us have one of two thoughts when it comes to silence. Either we think silence is golden, or we think silence is awkward, something that we don't enjoy, something that we want to avoid. If you're one of those people who tends to think of silence as something to be avoided, let me challenge you with these words. Someone once wrote, "Indeed, the more closely we approach to reverence, the less inclined we will be to speak. In the silence of awe, we will listen." I think there's few passages of Scripture that more powerfully illustrate those words than 1 Kings chapter 19, where Elijah had spent over 40 days running from Jezebel, who wanted to kill him. He was incredibly discouraged at this point, thoroughly convinced he was the only servant of the Lord left, and so he wanted to plead his cause before the Lord. But it wasn't the words of Elijah that the Lord was looking for at this point, it was the silence of Elijah. But it wasn't until God overwhelmed Elijah with his power and his might through wind and through an earthquake and through fire that Elijah finally quieted his spirit. He became still, and he listened to the words of the Lord. And amazingly to Elijah, once he did this, once he quieted his spirit and became silent, he was uplifted and encouraged by the words that the Lord had for him. And I don't think it's coincidence that we find throughout Scripture passages like this, passages that say, "The Lord is in His holy temple, let all the earth keep silence before Him, and be still and know that I am God." Maybe there's some truth to the words that someone once said, that you can hear the footsteps of God in the silence of the mind. So let me encourage you this week to push past the awkwardness of silence, to quiet your spirit, to be still, to be silent, and to truly listen fully and wholly to the words of the Lord. Thanks for joining us. Have a great week.